Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
Look, there's mice all in there.
It's Taco Tuesday, but one woman not exactly celebrating the disgusting discovery made days ago at one local taco Cabana and what the restaurant now has to say about this. Coming up.
And she survived to share her story. One of the women trapped in the back of an 18-wheeler woke up in the hospital. She shares what she witnessed on that dark day. But first, more fallout after the mass shooting in Uvalde. State Senator Roland Gutierrez and Uvalde's mayor saying the victims are not getting the compensation in a timely manner.
Yeah, we're talking about money that comes from the Uvalde Together Resiliency Center. In a letter, Gutierrez says Governor Greg Abbott appointed Uvalde District Attorney Christina Mitchell Busby to oversee the funds for victims and additional services. He says one family nearly had their power cut off because of delays in payment. In other cases, Gutierrez says the money was just insufficient.
To be able to go to a family and say, I'm going to give you 2 or 3 weeks of lost wages is simply not enough, insufficient, callous on some level. And so we need to find an agency that has the resources by which to do this.
The state senator wants the Texas Department of Emergency Management to be placed in charge of the services and the funding. Both he and Uvalde's mayor are calling on the governor tonight to make that happen.
New details tonight from a woman who survived the migrant tragedy last week. Jennifer Yulisa Cardona Tomas survived sweltering temperatures while trapped in the back of a semi. She spoke with the Associated Press from her hospital bed. Jennifer Yulisa Cardona Tomas is from Guatemala. The 20-year-old says she was trying to get to North Carolina in hopes of finding work. Her father helped by paying $4,000 for a smuggler that was less than half the total cost. Cardona Tomas left Guatemala on May 30th and was in Texas by June 27th when she climbed into the back of the trailer. During her hospital interview, Cardona Tomas remembers her friend's warning to stay near the door of the trailer where it would be cooler. It's advice that may have saved her life. She was one of 11 survivors. Cardona Tomas remembers people yelling and some even crying and yelling for the doors to be opened because it was too hot and they couldn't breathe. She says she then remembers the truck moving slowly before passing out and waking up in the hospital.
We've got an 18-wheeler. None of them are able to talk.
53 migrants died when the hot trailer was found near Quintana and Casson Drive. A memorial is being kept up for the victims. The victims range in age from just 13 years old to 55. And Cardona Tomas is still in the hospital tonight. Her parents did not learn she was okay until days after the tragedy. Now, during her interview, she recalled the floor of the tractor trailer was covered in what she believes was powdered chicken bouillon. It was an apparent attempt to throw off dogs at checkpoints.
We are also learning more about the truck used in the case. Investigators say it had cloned information and a broken air conditioner. Tomorrow, the man accused of driving that truck is set to go before a federal court judge here in San Antonio. During tomorrow's hearing, Homero Zamorano Jr. is expected to learn if he will be eligible for bail. According to court documents, Zamorano spoke on a cell phone with 28-year-old Christian Martinez about the alleged smuggling event. 2 other suspects also arrested, but they only face federal weapons charges at this time. In all of this, the San Antonio Fire Department has responded both to that migrant tragedy and the mass shooting in Uvalde at Robb Elementary. On top of its fire engine and ambulance response, the department used what is called an ambus.
Yeah, the night team's Lee Waldman spoke with SAFD about how this tool is used in a mass casualty situation.
Looks like quite a few of them are already deceased. We're going to start sorting through the ones that are currently breathing.
Once the crews got there, they realized there was multiple victims. They found the door to the truck partially opened, opened it up, and found what we were all familiar with what they found now.
Over 60 firefighters, 20 fire engines, 10 medical units, and SAFD's ambulance bus or ambus descended onto Quintana Road June 27th when dozens of people were found dead in the back of an 18-wheeler.
I believe we're going to need more medics. So far I have about 1, 2, 3. Probably about 6 or 7 more patients that I can see.
We have what's called an ambulance or an ambulance bus as part of the Texas Emergency Medical Task Force. It's a statewide group.
SAFD has one of 16 ambuses positioned across the state.
They have a litany of things they can be used for.
That includes hurricane evacuations of hospitals, on-scene rehab for fire crews, and mobile ICUs to treat injured people.
Unfortunately, they're also used in events like this with the medical examiner's office. If you need to transport bodies, you can.
The bodies of the 48 people who were already dead when the trailer doors opened were taken from the scene on this bus.
A mobile morgue.
It's not the first time it's been used in this way.
You said it also went to Uvalde.
It did.
Can you talk to me how it was utilized there as well?
The same manner.
The children and teachers that could be saved from Robb Elementary were taken by ambulance or helicopter. The dead were taken by the ambus.
It's frustrating to know that we weren't able to do more, but at the same time knowing that they can be moved in a dignified manner. We can give them the respect they deserve.
The other 2 ambuses in our area are in New Braunfels and the other is in Schertz. Now, each ambus is able to carry 24 seated patients or 20 patients in their beds. As far as staffing goes, each ambus has a driver and at least 4 medics on board. Reporting live, Lee Waldman, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Lee. Well, murder charges have been filed against the suspected gunman in the Illinois parade shooting. The state attorney says more charges are expected. 7 people have died. More than 30 others were hurt at the 4th of July parade in Highland Park, north of Chicago. Police say the 21-year-old suspect bought at least 5 weapons legally, including the AR rifle that was used. Investigators believe he spent weeks planning the shooting.
During the attack, Primo was dressed in women's clothing, and investigators do believe he did this to conceal his facial tattoos and his identity and help him during the escape with the other people who were fleeing the chaos.
And new evidence shows the suspect had a history of being suicidal and threatening to kill people before buying the alleged murder weapon. Police were called in September 2019 when a family member says the suspect talked about killing people. More than a dozen knives, a dagger, and a sword were confiscated. This is just the latest in a rash of mass shootings in the United States.
There is another threat that law enforcement is very much worried about, and that's the ongoing threats against the Jewish community. The FBI actually told me that back in February, and tonight a local councilman says messages of hate have popped up again in just the last week. There's been similar instances in the past. Councilman John Courage says anti-Semitic materials were found in several District 9 neighborhoods. He says the messages usually come from people out of town. No matter where it's coming from, the councilman says spreading hate and trying to incite violence should not be tolerated.
People may have the right to freedom of speech in our Constitution, but that doesn't mean that we need to accept those kinds of messages or allow those kinds of messages to interfere with the good nature and harmony that we really enjoy in our community here in District 9.
The Councilman Courage says some of the messages also targeted transgender individuals. If you have evidence or more information about these hate crimes, you can always report it to police or the FBI by dialing 1-800-CALL-FBI.
The search for a missing boater on Canyon Lake is over. A family member says Robert Berlingeri's body was recovered this afternoon, 2 days after his disappearance. The night team's John Paul Barajas explains what happened.
What started as a holiday weekend celebration turned to tragedy on Canyon Lake Sunday. That's when Robert Berlingeri and his young daughter were knocked off their boat by a wake.
I've grown up on the lake. I know what lake life is. You have frequent accidents that happen. Ultimately, the guy's a hero. It's just tragedy for the family.
This boater asked to stay anonymous, but he says Berlingeri and his daughter's mother are heroes. Family members say she jumped off the boat to help, and they worked together to keep their daughter above water.
He sacrificed his own life for the best of theirs, so he's a true man.
A boat was able to rescue the daughter and mom, but it took teams from Canyon Lake Fire, Hays County, and Texas Parks and Wildlife 2 days to find Berlingeri's body.
Authorities tell us they found Berlingeri's body about 80 feet deep. For that reason, they had to be selective with their dives because divers can't stay underwater for that long. They utilized sonar search methods to narrow down the area they were looking at. Even then, they still had several dives before finding Berlinger's body around 2:15, 3 o'clock this afternoon.
This is the third drowning at Canyon Lake this year. Canyon Lake Fire and EMS say there have also been several close calls. Boaters add, it's a grim reminder.
Things happen in water. People who can swim, they still have problems.
For that reason, experts recommend always having enough life vests for everyone on board.
This is a beautiful place, but it's also a game changer when it comes to like anything can happen at any time.
John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
A surprising, disturbing find in a local fast food restaurant. One woman caught these rodents on camera. We're going to hear from her and what this Taco Cabana now has to say.
Plus, several homes destroyed, one man killed. Fireworks turns disastrous in 2 cases here in San Antonio.
And a new study revealing more about COVID-19 and repeat infections, the increased risk that patients could have as more variants of the virus turn up. That story and more next on the Nightbeat.
San Antonio remains in the high-risk category when it comes to COVID-19, and more parents are getting their children vaccinated. About 2 weeks ago, vaccines were greenlit for children between 6 months to 4 years old. So far, 1,077 of those kids here in Bexar County got their shots. Metro Health is offering pop-up clinics for these vaccines, including one at Traders Village on Saturday. And there is a new study offering insight on repeat COVID-19 infections. The study looked at the records of more than 5 million patients in the Veterans Affairs health system. Researchers found that people with 2 or more documented infections had more than twice the risk of dying and an increased risk of lung and heart problems, diabetes, digestive and kidney disorders, as well as neurological problems.
It's that time. Let's do the Nightbeat News Flash. 2 men killed. San Antonio police now need your help in finding out who shot them. There's a concern that possible witnesses may have confused the gunshots with fireworks. This is what we're talking about. Investigators believe the shots were fired about 3:30 in the morning, but someone did not call police until about 5 hours later. The bodies found in a parking lot on Perrin Central, that's near Perrin Vital. If you have any information in this case, please call police. 4th of July fireworks took a disastrous turn overnight. In one case, one man died after lighting fireworks near Highway 90 and Frio City Road. The Bexar County Medical Examiner says 43-year-old Pablo Ruiz suffered a head injury and died from an explosion mishap. That's how they termed it. In another case, fireworks believed to have destroyed 2 homes. Fires sparked up on Wildstone Place. That's near Loop 1604 in Bandera. Flames spread to 2 homes from there. Luckily, no one was hurt. And some sad news from the San Antonio Zoo. They confirmed one of their Komodo dragons has passed away. At 28 years old, he was actually one of the oldest dragons in human care. This is Bubba. In a Facebook post, the zoo says he first arrived back in 1997. He's visited with guests, and the zoo says he even received national attention for being the first exotic animal in the world to be treated with an innovative product to reduce joint inflammation. Acupuncture massages and stem cell replacement, also part of his care. Bye-bye, Bubba. And that's a look at your Nightbeat News Flash.
Oh my God, I'm going to die.
Well, this is not what you want to see when you pull up to a fast food restaurant. A woman recorded at least 4 rats running around at this Taco Cabana in Leon Valley. This is off of 410 and Bandera. Rita Longoria was hoping to pick up food early Sunday morning. Well, instead of employees, she saw rats moving around in the kitchen. The TikTok video she posted now has nearly 70,000 views. Our crew went by the restaurant today. It is closed. A sign on the door apologizes for the inconvenience. Longoria says she posted the video to alert others.
It was disgusting. It was like unreal. It was unbelievable, shock. I wanted it to blow up, not for myself. I wanted it to blow up because people needed to know. I mean, people can get sick, you know.
And the restaurant says the pests migrated from an outside source within the previous 48 to 72 hours. In a statement, Taco Cabana says the location was closed immediately for inspection and, quote, extensive sanitation was completed, and, quote, the Taco Cabana location will reopen to customers tomorrow.
Not what you want to see when you pull up to the drive-thru.
Ever.
No.
Anywhere.
All right, Sky 12, 88 degrees out there, and we are in the midst of a heat wave. I mean, there's really no other way to put it.
It's called summer.
It's called, well, yeah, a summer heat wave. I mean,
a summer
this
heat
is
wave
extreme.
And abnormally hot because we've had the hottest May followed by the hottest June on record, and so far the hottest start to July for us. Temperatures are going to soar past 100 degrees for at least the next 7 days. Likely even longer than that. So let's take a look at how we stacked up for the day. 100 degrees for the high temperature, 6 degrees above the average. We should be at 94 this time of year. And elsewhere, we got up to 102 in Del Rio, 101 in Uvalde, 107 in Cotulla, and 106 in Laredo. It was 101 in Gonzales and 103 in Pleasanton. Let's take a look across the state of Texas right now. We do have some rain across the Big Bend area. You know, any little rain across Texas, we'll welcome it. This is not going to come into San Antonio. It's going to stay out west. And as we take a wider view here, we've actually got a derecho, or a long-lasting windstorm, which is approaching the Chicagoland area. But meanwhile, for us in San Antonio and South Central Texas, I want you to look down near New Orleans. You see all that rain? Notice how it fell apart as it moved west. It encountered this heat high, which is preventing showers and storms from developing around it and bringing the heat. It was 101 in St. Louis today, hotter in St. Louis than in San Antonio this afternoon. Now, tomorrow we'll be at 101 degrees as that heat high approaches, 101 on Thursday. By Friday, we'll be even hotter, 102, and over the weekend, that high is going to settle over Texas. Right now, I'm forecasting 103 over the weekend, but we could actually bump up those numbers. There are some indications it could even be hotter than that over the weekend. Outside right now, though, 89 degrees, and it is windy. Winds are from the southeast at about 23 miles per hour. We're going to hear those winds throughout the night, and early tomorrow morning, it will be humid and mostly cloudy, 77 degrees. But walk the dog early in the morning, because by noon, it's already going to be 90 and 101 for the afternoon high temperature. Southeast winds gusting up to about 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow could be our 28th 100-degree day, and we've still got most of July and most of August and even some of September to get through, where we could see more triple-digit days. Tomorrow it's going to be humid in the morning, and we're really not going to see that humidity lighten up a bit. It's going to be very humid even in the afternoon, too. So what we're looking at as a heat index value tomorrow, 104 in San Antonio, but generally heat index values will range anywhere from 101 to 104. As for the tropics, no relief for us in sight. There's Hurricane Bonnie out in the Pacific. It's going to stay out in the Pacific. And in the Atlantic, where we would need development, no development is expected over the next 5 days. So what does this all mean for us? Copy and paste the weather over the next couple of days and even add on a couple of degrees here and there. That's the way the forecast is for us. We'll be challenging a few records, especially tomorrow and on Sunday. Again, we may have to bump up those weekend temps. Patty, Steve?
Got to get up early, walk the dog, go swimming, take your walk, exercise, whatever you can early in the morning, because
it's a long list.
It is a long list.
All right. So the summer league begins for the Spurs on Friday. Is that right?
Yeah,
okay.
They'll head to Vegas before then. But the big question is, the number one draft pick is back. Will he be able to actually play in the summer league games when we come back? We'll put that question to the Spurs staff. And also, when is the Deshaun Watson decision due? Coming up. After getting the holiday weekend off, the Spurs went back to work today, getting their young players ready for the NBA Summer League games, which tip off this Friday for the Spurs. The good news today is that number one draft pick, 9th overall, Jeremy Sohan, was back on the court after testing positive for COVID last week after arriving in San Antonio. Now the question is, will he be available to play in the Summer League games starting on Friday?
Good to see him. He's doing well, able to come to Vegas and be with the team and be a part of it. So excited for him. It was a quick departure after the introduction. I can't keep up with the return to out of health protocols, whatever that process is. I think he's in it still, whatever that is. He's obviously out of protocols, but there's obviously a ramp up and a cardiac and a clearance deal I don't know where he is in that.
But I guess with everything you know about him, he'll get up to speed pretty quickly.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, if anything, right, he'll be working with our people out there, whatever capacity ends up being. He plays 30 minutes, he's training with them, right? It could be anything.
All right, before we allowed into practice today, the Spurs announced the signing of first of 3 first-round draft picks today. Blake Wesley out of Notre Dame. The Spurs picked up with the number 25 overall pick.
It feels good. It's a dream come true. Been thinking about this since I was like 5 years old. So to be able to sign a contract is good, a blessing, once in a lifetime opportunity. So can't take it for granted. So it's a blessing.
All right, with Jock Landale part of the trade that sent DeJounte Murray, the Atlanta Hawks, the Spurs have signed free agent center Gorgui Dieng to a 1-year contract. After playing for the Hawks last season, this is Dieng's second stint with the Spurs after playing in only 16 games of the Silver and Black back in 2021 season. The Spurs announcing today they have signed Isaiah Roby after the forward was waived by Oklahoma City. The 6'8", 230-pound, 4-year veteran appeared in 45 games with the Thunder last season, averaging just over 10 points, 10.5 points, over 4.5 rebounds a game while shooting over 51%, over 44% from three-point range. Roby was originally selected by the Pistons as a 45th pick overall in the 2019 NBA draft. Here's a look at their summer league schedule now. It begins on Friday at 4 against the Cavaliers, followed by another game on Sunday against the Warriors at 6:30. The Rockets on Monday at 6 p.m. And then a week from this Thursday, the Hawks against the Spurs at 2 p.m.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
Now that Deshaun Watson disciplinary hearings are over in front of the disciplinary officer, Sue L. Robinson, we await 2 things: the final legal briefs from both sides, the NFL and Watson's legal representatives, and Robinson's ruling. The NFL is seeking at least 1 year suspension without pay for violating the NFL's personal code of conduct for his behavior during massages, in which 24 women sued Watson, with 20 of those civil claims already settled. With no timetable set for the return, or the ruling, I should say, it is hoped that Robinson will pass her judgment before training camps are set to begin later this month. Honors for one member of the San Antonio FC. Next. Congratulations to San Antonio FC defender Fabian Garcia, who was named to the United Soccer League Championship Team of the Week. Garcia was a main contributor to 2 dominant defensive efforts this past week, in which SAFC defended its first-place standing in the Western Conference with victories over both Tulsa and Charleston Battery at Toyota Field. Garcia helped hold both teams to just 1 goal on Tuesday and Saturday nights' 2-1 and 2-0 victories. In 2 starts, Garcia has racked up 7 tackles, 8 interceptions, and 3 clearances. Congratulations to Novak Djokovic, who came back from being down 2 sets to Yannick Sinner of Italy to bounce back to win the last 3 sets in 5-7, 2-6, 6-3, 6-2, 6-2 victory on center court at Wimbledon, and has earned his 11th semifinal berth and his 26th straight win at the All-England Club grass court. Djokovic will next face Cam Norrie in the Wimbledon semifinals. Tiger Woods shot a 2 over par 74 today at the J.P. McManus Pro-Am in Ireland, considered a tune-up for next week's 150th Open Championship. That's an improvement from his opening round of 77 on Monday that featured back-to-back birdies on 15 and 16 to go along with his 4 bogeys. This leads to St. Andrews starting on July 14th, which will be Tiger's 3rd official event since suffering serious leg injuries in a car accident near Los Angeles back in February of 2021. He played in the Masters, where he finished 47 before withdrawing after the 3rd round of the PGA Championship in May. Tickets to the KSAT Pigskin Classic 2022, presented by your San Antonio area Chevy dealers, are on sale right now at all Las Palapas locations for just $15. You can take in all 3 games at the Alamo Dome on August the 27th, the very first weekend of the 2022 high school football season. Smithson Valley versus Reagan kicks off the triple-header at 11:30 in the morning, followed by Judson and Johnson, and then the nightcap has Steele going up against Brennan starting at 7:30. If for some reason you can't make it to the Dome on that day, all 3 games will be broadcast live on KSAT 12, starting with our pregame show at 11 a.m. And somebody was just asked, I was thinking of Sarah, what time do I get to be there for this big event? I say I have the 3-hour rule, 8 o'clock.
You're going to get there at 8 a.m.?
That's my rule. Always has been.
You're going to like open the dome and turn on the lights, right? That's basically what's going to happen.
I'll shake hands with the morning crew.
Yeah, there you
go.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg. We'll be right back.
I'm calling this forecast a forecast of ditto days. Today's weather, ditto tomorrow, ditto the next day. We're going to be above 100 degrees for the next several days, and even up to 103 over the weekend. So find a way to stay cool, everyone.
Thank you, Sarah. That does it for the Nightbeat. Don't forget, Good Morning San Antonio starts at 4:30.
Have a great night.